What's up, everybody? It's Sean. You remember me? Remember from the good old days? That's great. I'm here, and I wanted to make a little video about the games I played this year. I like looking back on the year and seeing what games I played. It just kind of is a nice piece of history. It lets me point my memories in places. I made a top 5 games of whatever year it was on Good Entertainment, and I thought, you know what the heck. I really like doing it. Without further ado, here's all the games I played in 2019. Pokemon Coliseum. I originally played this game for Good Entertainment, which was a really fun time. Coliseum is a great game to return to after playing it for a very long time. I played it as a kid, and I don't really know how I beat it because it was really hard. It was really hard. I was a dumb kid. I don't know how I beat this as a kid. It's really surprising, honestly. I didn't really understand anything about Pokemon. Like, I just kind of thought some cool guys were cool and I'd use them and just make them really strong until it worked. But knowing how the mechanics work now, because I've done a lot of like competitive battling and I understand a lot of the ins and outs more, it was way cool. It was like playing a Pokemon game with an entirely different rule set because of the shadow Pokemon, and also because it's just an older generation, there's different mechanics. So it was an absolute blast. In a normal Pokemon game, you're able to pick from a usual 100 plus assortment of monsters to formulate a team, but in this game, you have a select number of Pokemon to choose from, the shadow Pokemon. Most of them are Pokemon from the Johto region, filling out the gaps of the Kanto and Hoenn Pokédexes for 3rd generation players. Most Pokemon from Johto are just weaker overall for whatever reason, and so playing with a team of Pokemon that are generally less well off than your opponents was a really fun challenge, surprisingly. Funny enough, it made you appreciate Pokemon that you would have normally totally overlooked. You're forced to use them because you don't have the full 150 plus assortment of Pokemon. You just have this select group of shadow Pokemon that you can purify and add to your team. Now, saying all that, I don't think the shadow mechanics are perfect, but like I said, it's different and weird enough. It feels like it's this I don't know. It's weird. It's weird, but it's cool. It's different. I liked it. What's especially interesting about this shadow Pokemon mechanic and only having this small pool of Pokemon to pick from is I think this is only going to become more and more niche and exciting of a type of playthrough as they increase the list of Pokemon. I mean, instead of having 1,000 plus Pokemon to pick from, you only got these guys. It's kind of like them not having the national dex in each game. We'll get that more of that later. I know the game's sequel, XD Gale of Darkness, added to the shadow mechanics, adding different moves and even a type of weather, so I'd be curious to try that out at some point. Overall, Coliseum turned out to be a much more enjoyable experience than I anticipated. As someone who has played each Pokemon game as it has been released, it was fun to go back to a game that had such different mechanics as the modern games. I miss these weird, unafraid attempts at expanding these games. I almost think this was an attempted, edgy approach to Pokemon to appeal to its then aging demographic. From someone who really enjoys the new Pokemon games, it was refreshing to play a game that went all out on a new mechanic and tried to make something weird. I'm gonna try playing Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness, its sequel, probably this coming year because I enjoyed this so much. And I don't know, it's gonna be more of the same, and I'm pretty hyped for it. It's gonna be good. Pika Q is my game of the year. I don't know. I know it's the only second one in, but I played it earlier on and I thought, nah, this is it. This is my game of the year. To totally get ahead of myself here, Pika Q is absolutely my game of the year. If I had to choose one, which I don't, because lists are, made up. But it's my list, so it's my number one. Pika Q is a funny and self-indulgent. Ooh, I chose some big words this time. Pika Q is a funny and self-indulgent indie game that has a fantastic sense of humor. Never all that challenging, the game will keep you on your toes by throwing something new at you every step of the way. Every character is bouncy and colorful, trying to do their own thing in this crazy, weird world. You play as the Beast, which is probably the best name for any titular character in like any sort of media or anything anywhere. Like, you're the Beast? The Beast? Are you kidding me? Just the Beast? Like, I'm gonna play next time I play a Pokemon game, I'm just gonna make my name the Beast. It's hard to describe exactly how the Beast moves around, but if I could try, I'd say it's extremely silly. You bounce, stretch, and fling yourself all over the place while utilizing things like different hats and items to interact with characters. Pika Q will shake up what you may expect from games lately. With a focus to tell a funny story and make you laugh, I cannot absolutely recommend it enough. I also think the Beast is described as using they/them pronouns, which is a small but nice thing. I don't know if this was exactly intentional, but I don't know. I thought it was a nice little thing to make it a little bit more inclusive. Why not, right? Also, the co-op is a fun thing to do with your partner. It's a good ride. Me and Nina played a bunch of levels in it and we loved it. It's the poofy hair. It's the spiky hair. He's got keys. It's Kingdom Hearts 3 this time. I was pretty much the exact demographic for the original games, so Kingdom Hearts was pretty much a perfect return to form. I saw a lot of reviews tear it apart because it felt like a clunky PS2 game with cutscenes that lasted a bit too long, fights that were occasionally cheap, fights that were flashy, albeit repetitive as heck. And yeah, shoot, that was pretty much it. Nail on the head. And I loved it. I don't really know what people were going in with expectation-wise, but that was exactly what I wanted. People who like this series and are familiar with this series, I don't exactly expect how you anticipated anything different from this game. Most reviews I saw were trying to review the game as if it was anything besides what it was. Kingdom Hearts 3. There's an awesome video by the Gaming Brit who I think has the only good review of the game that actually understands what the game was going for, so please give it a watch. He does a very good job of articulating the game and what it does and what it's striving for and how it hits the notes that it's trying to hit, and it does a really good job. It's not a perfect game by any means, but like I said, if you're a fan of the series, this is it. This is Kingdom Hearts 3. I guess I can't really speak for someone who's unhappy with how the story played out. I think I understood pretty much everything in the story, but I don't play Kingdom Hearts for the story necessarily. I play it for the action and the fun. So if you were bummed out about the story and what happened to Sora and junk, okay, maybe I get that because I don't get it. but for me, it was super fun. It was super fun and flashy, and Elsa sang the song in it like she did in the movie, and that was kind of cool. Oh, and of course, as a Pixar fan, I mean, the new worlds were an absolute blast. Hanging out with Buzz and Woody, taking on the Heartless together was something I didn't realize was missing from my childhood. The Toy Story series specifically means so much to me. Toy Story 2 is my absolute favorite movie, so the fact that this story in this game took place after Toy Story 2, almost directly, was so cool. Was so weird and so cool. So thank you, Kingdom Hearts 3. It was a really good ride. It's not all too often that I feel like indulging in a brand new AAA game, especially one that's outside of the series that I know I absolutely adore, like Pokemon or Mario or whatever. But something really drew me into Yoshi's Crafted World. I love the visuals, and I was absolutely in the mood to play a Yoshi game, especially after missing out on Woolly World. That being said, the funds were not there for me to justify buying a new $60 game. So it was about time I decided to fire up the SNES Classic and dive into the original Yoshi's Island on the Super Nintendo. This was a game that was on my bucket list, pretty much, my gaming bucket list. We all got those gaming bucket lists. Come on, you're telling me you don't plan on playing Nights into Dreams on the Sega Saturn? At some point in your life you're gonna tell me that? Don't lie. Alright, maybe you won't. Yoshi's Island is the definition of a classic, not only in its appearance but its gameplay. Super smooth controls and fantastic level design. This game is an absolute treat. There is no better example of what strong art direction can do than the original Yoshi's Island. Nintendo loves to use their brightly colored characters and worlds to evoke a childlike sense of fun, but you couldn't do it any better than a game that looks like it's completely drawn with crayon. So many games now push so hard to be the new graphical feat of the generation, and while it can be impressive at times, I think all it really does is cement the game in the time period that it was actually made. I should note that I played this on my Super Nintendo Classic, and the addition of the replay feature made this game way more enjoyable. Too many points where I just kind of stuck in a certain area, stuck trying to hobble over some spikes, and I just fell or whatever. But here's the thing, I'm a 26-year-old man who works 60 hours a week, and I only got so much time to play Yoshi games, you know what I mean? So back off! Being able to redo jumps or bring eggs back and made the less enjoyable levels a bit easier to swallow. If you have a Nintendo Switch, it is now on Super Nintendo Online. The collection of old Super Nintendo games you can play in a Netflix style library. Please play this game. It's an absolute treat and you're gonna absolutely love it. Please enjoy. Goose Game. I forgot I played Goose Game, so I don't actually have any notes on it. I'm just kind of going off the cuff here. It's just funny. It's just a funny little game of being a nasty goose. Nina and I played it together. We passed the controller back and forth a little bit. She mostly watched me play. It was funny just to see what kind of trouble you could actually get into. The game lets you do a lot, which is really great, and it was exciting to see just like the little ins and outs of things that you could do, like how you can make this one guy go over here by grabbing this tomato over here. I'm realizing now that I am the type of person who prefers games like this, like weird little short experiences rather than like 100-hour RPGs. I mean, I've known this about myself before, but I know that these are the kind of games that I'm going to be looking for in 2020. Like I said, I didn't have any notes, but I wanted to definitely make sure I talked about it because this was a great game. Absolutely one of the greats of 2019. If you haven't played it, please do. I look different now. It's a different day, so I look different. And the setup might be a little different, but it's the same me, and we're just gonna keep going. I want to take a little break, and before we go on to the last half of the list, I want to talk about some runners-up. Some games that maybe I didn't totally finish, or maybe some games that didn't have like an actual end to it, but I still really enjoyed throughout the year. So here are some honorable mentions for 2019. Super Smash Brothers. I played a ton of Super Smash Brothers Ultimate this year. It's just fantastic. It's so freaking good. It's so fun and flashy, and the character animations is so great. And hey, do you know that Banjo-Kazooie's in it? I can't believe it. I really just can't believe the Banjo's in it. It's so wild. Smash is awesome. I'm excited for whoever the last Smash character is going to be. So in waiting to edit this video, we've now seen the last DLC character. It's Bleth from Fire Emblem.
Bleth?
Yeah, Bleth. It's definitely Bleth. Look at how it's spelled.
I think it's pronounced like Blech.
Blech. And they seem okay. That's it. And then the next round of them and everything, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be so good. Thank you, Super Smash Brothers. Super Mario Maker 2 is another great game that doesn't really have any kind of ending or whatever. It's just another really fun one. There's also the whole new Link update that I haven't messed around with at all yet, but from what I hear, it totally changes the game, and that's gonna be insane to mess around with, so I'm excited. It's a great game. Love it, love it, love it. I've been playing a lot of the original Dr. Mario on the NES Online for Nintendo Switch, and I've also been playing a lot of Dr. Mario World for the phone, the cell phone. It's an app game. It's Dr. Mario. It chills me out. I usually play it before bed, so I have like 100 hours sunk into freaking Dr. Mario on the Switch, but it's only great. It's just chill. I don't know. It's always good. Always good. Thank you, Dr. Mario. Cuphead. Freaking Cuphead is on the Switch. What a time to be alive. It's really hard, so I haven't played a lot of it. But it's really good. It's so good. I have only recently, like this month, gotten like a second wind of trying to go back and doing everything. And it's the kind of game you really got to be in the mood for. But when you're in the mood for it, it's excellent. It looks amazing. I've been dying to play it for so long. It's a miracle that it's on the Switch. So good stuff. I have taken my second dive into Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. I've played it before last year, or 2017, or whatever it was, but now with all the DLC out, I decided to take a whole second run at it. I'm playing on Master Mode. It's really hard, but I'm enjoying it so much. Like, this is going to be my definitive file for Breath of the Wild. Again, another game I've been playing on and off for so long, and it came out before, and I beat it before, so I don't count it as a game for this year, but I am playing it again, and it's just great. Man, what a game. What a freaking game. My last honorable mention will definitely be Pokemon Go. I've been playing so freaking much Pokemon Go this year. Nina and I we just go on walks. We have a few favorite spots in our area that are just great for Pokemon Go. We have a little community here, so we kind of get together through Facebook groups for raids. If you've only played it the first summer that it came out, it's like an actual game now. It's not just like a cool little thing. So give it another shot, maybe once the weather gets a little nicer, but it's so good. It's so fun. Get some friends together and just get super into it, so yeah. All right, we're back to the actual list now, and starting off is a huge one for me. I played this game so much this year. Pokemon Emerald. What? Another Poke game on my list? Do you even know me? I'm a Pokemon guy. I love Pokemon. I had a really great time playing Pokemon Coliseum earlier in the year and messing around with the different kinds of battle mechanics from Generation 3, and I thought, you know what, let's dive even deeper. I never really played through the Battle Frontier, so along with playing through the main game again, I went deep into EV training in Generation 3, which I had never done before. At this point, I've trained up a solid couple of Pokemon, and I still have been making my way through the Frontier. As far as the main game, it was nothing new by any means, but the Hoenn games are probably the games I keep coming back to the most when I'm looking for a replay of an older Pokemon Pokemon game. In preparation for a playthrough, I got a Game Boy player for my GameCube, and I also accidentally bought a bootleg copy of Emerald, which, all to say, I'm excited to play it again down the line. Something I was dead set on doing was creating a team to take on Mount Battle in Pokemon Coliseum with. I haven't done it yet. It's something that I want to learn how to stream, figure it out finally, and then stream my way through Mount Battle. That's definitely going to be a 2020 thing at this point. Guess who I ran into at the Battle Tower? I battled what I'm pretty sure was my original Sapphire file from when I was a kid. Seeing my old file inspired me to train up and breed a team based on my favorite Pokemon from when I was a kid. Once I had the team ready, I actually traded them to my old Sapphire file, which I still have, and then I made them a new secret base with that team. So now in my Pokemon Emerald game, I can go fight my old self, which is this really cute little cap on my Pokemon Sapphire file from when I was a kid. It's super freaking cute. I'm the man. It's just really freaking cute that I did that. And it was just a really, really lovely little project that I made for myself. The only problem with playing through Pokemon Sapphire was I really wanted to breed a Slowbro to use for Mount Battle and Battle Frontier and all that stuff, but Slowbro's not in the Pokedex for Hoenn. So the next game I played was Pokemon Leaf Green. Yes, I went and played through a whole other Pokemon Generation 3 game. Another one that I've played a dozen times over and can never play enough. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Of course I did. It's Pokemon. It's so good. I actually only recently learned to appreciate the Kanto games because of how quickly you can plow through them. So of course I hit up my buddy Kyle and we did our annual summer playthrough of our Kanto games. I spiced up my game a little bit by hacking a Breloom into my game, which was actually very fun. It's a nice little twist. It was great playing through the game already in the mindset of Generation 3's mechanics. Again, all of a sudden Pokemon that have no merit to them can be seen in an entirely new context. For instance, Kyle's favorite Pokemon, Farfetch'd, actually has some usability in this generation, and he'll use one whenever he can. As an extra challenge, we both tried to play the game as far out of order as we could, just to see how far we could stretch the game out. After the fight with Misty, I held off fighting gym leaders, I think until Koga. And that was just because I needed Surf. And then I went and did Blaine, and then I went back and I did Erica and Sabrina and, Lieutenant Surge. And so it was just this really weird little thing that we both did, but it was so fun because we trained our teams up way higher than we needed to just to take on Blaine and everyone. And then we went totally back and just destroyed Erica, destroyed Lieutenant Surge. It was a really weird but fun little thing. I recommend it next time you're playing a Kanto game. Also, the Sevi Islands were way cooler than I remembered them being. I particularly enjoyed recognizing the Johto music on one of the islands. One of those weird things that you look back on and realize you never noticed before. Did you ever... I told myself I wasn't going to do this, but in the Grinch movie, the live-action Grinch movie, the Jim Carrey one, there's a Bare Naked Ladies song in there. Bare Naked Ladies is my favorite band. Is one of them. I'm not going to leave this in. No one needs to know about the Bare Naked Ladies song in the Jim Carrey movie. It doesn't matter. Maybe I'll leave this in. Love playing through this. That was Undertale. What a weird, great little gem of a game. Undertale. Who knew, right? Weird. I was fortunate enough to have dodged any real story stuff in the years that it's been out, so I was lucky enough to go in with pretty fresh eyes to this fantastic, strange, weird little game. And it is the kind of game that's best going in knowing as little about it as possible, so I'll keep it all light here, but man, what a well-written and continuously clever game this is. And it had me laughing out loud the entire time. I only played it through once, and I absolutely plan on going back through a couple more times. This is the first game I've played in a while where I immediately wanted to start a new playthrough, which I think is a real testament to its charm. Just for the record, this game should be my game of the year. I was so surprised by how much I enjoyed it, especially after letting the hype of it die down a little bit. I mean, of course, it kind of came back for a little bit once Sand was put in Smash Brothers, which is why I played the game. But man, if you haven't played this, please do yourself a favor and enjoy this gem. I was at first turned off by how popular this game was, but now I can see how deserved that adoration was for this game. Again, don't look up anything. Get it when it's on sale if you can. But freaking Undertale, dude. It's wild. It's good. Sans Undertale for Smash. Wait, he's in. Kirby's Adventure. I had actually played this on my 3DS a couple years ago and really loved it, so I wanted to play it in its original format, the NES style. This is a weird small thing, but I actually really like how the game can lag at certain points. It's like there's no reason for it. If it's running on the Nintendo Switch, like the game is super easy to run on the Nintendo Switch, but to properly replicate how you would play it on an NES, it lags sometimes, which I think is funny and cute, and I like that. It's stupid, and I shouldn't like it, but I do. It's such a cute game. I especially adore the little cutscenes in the beginning of each world. It's kind of setting up like just Kirby's relationship with the characters in the world. Super cute, super cute. This certainly geared me up for Kirby Superstar, which is now out on SNES Online, which is a game that I'm going to make Nina play with me in 2020. So that's going to be super fun. Freaking Banjo-Kazooie. I wish this game was on the Switch. Why can't you do it? Sakurai, you tease. Sakurai, you tease me. Gosh. Golly goo. Hey, did you know that Banjo-Kazooie is in Super Smash Brothers? That's amazing. Anyway, I had to play Banjo-Kazooie again because Banjo's in Smash. I just needed to celebrate my Baron Bird coming back to me in some form. So I just decided to pick up an old save file that I had already started and just continue from where I left off. I have nothing against Mumbo's Mountain or Treasure Trove Cove, but I've just played them a million times, so I guess I don't mind just kind of skipping those levels and getting to the later ones. I realized as I was playing that I never actually beat this game. I've seen the ending over and over, and I've watched my neighbor Robert beat it, but I never did it myself. I was actually so busy dreading Rusty Bucket Bay, the level that I could never beat as a kid, I completely forgot about the actual final world, Click Clock Wood. So I basically got to play a whole brand new Banjo-Kazooie level. It's almost like there was new DLC for Banjo-Kazooie just for me. And the trivia, holy cow, what a time. Grunty's trivia is so fun. That's another thing I've seen for so long and never got to do it myself. It was incredibly frustrating, but I loved every second of it. I took like actual notes, and now my years of Banjo-Kazooie knowledge actually came to use when I had to do this little quiz. I have such a deep love for Banjo, and it was great finally seeing the end of the game for myself with my own 2 eyeballs. Just put it on the Switch. That's all I really want. Please just put it on the Switch. Castle Crashers. Another game that I just never thought would ever actually arrive on the Nintendo system, and then it just did because Behemoth Games just knows that this game was made for the Nintendo Switch. Gosh, I love the Nintendo Switch. This is another one of those games that I've played a million times over, but will always enjoy a playthrough of it. I'm excited to pressure all my friends to get it so we can all play through it online at some point. The game shows its age here and there, but all in all, it's a beautiful time. I love this game, and having it on the Switch is an absolute dream come true. Please play Castle Crashers. It's like the best local arcade beat 'em up style game that's like ever been made. So it's so good. It's so good. This is another one of those games where I actually have a lot of things to talk about, so I'm just gonna try and plow through it. After playing Banjo, I remembered that I kickstarted the spiritual successor to the game, Ukulele, and I had never actually given it a fair shot when it came out. I kind of just saw a lot of the bad reviews, I downloaded it, and then was like, maybe at some point in the future. And this year was the point in the future where I decided to give it a shot, and you know what? It's really great. I was pleasantly surprised by how much I enjoyed this game. The duo of Yuka and Laylee were really fun to control, and the couple of worlds that were there were really fun to explore. I'll admit that the jungle and ice areas are aesthetics of areas that I've seen plenty of times before in other games, but they were done really well here, so I can't really complain. The ice world was especially beautiful with the huge castle high in the sky. The concept of expanding worlds is a weird one, but I think knowing what I was getting into, I really enjoyed it. What I did as I played is I would play a world and then complete it, and then when I was done, I'd go to a different world and complete that, and then at some point I would go back and expand that world that I only finished the first half of, so I didn't really get tired of it, and if anything, I was excited to go back and see what would be new in this world. It was cool. I think it's a really neat concept, and I think it's a nice middle ground between Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie, where there's huge worlds and small worlds, and you get to kind of pick what you want to do, and I think that's a neat concept. It's not done perfectly, but I like it. I think it was good. My absolute favorite world was Capital B's Capital Casino. You still went around to collect things and complete missions, but it was in a different context where you would be rewarded with casino tokens, and then you'd cash them in for pages. It was a small change in gameplay, but it came at a perfect time where you needed a small shakeup. The game isn't perfect though. I straight up disliked the entire last world. It was too open and too empty, and the boat transformation just wasn't fun. Lastly, I didn't actually beat the final boss. I just straight up gave up because it sucked. He has this one move that is like a homing missile that he shoots out of his butt, and you have to chase him and redirect his own attack back at him. The controls are good, and they're just not good enough to do that. So I just kind of called it. I said, you know what? I'm an adult. I only got so much time. I'm calling it here. I'm calling it here. The game has a great sense of humor, maybe a little too deprecating of itself, in my opinion, but otherwise it's the same sense of humor that Banjo has. This isn't Banjo 3E. It's a successor to 2E with the team of people using a system that's new to them. It's a little rough around the edges, but it's a blast altogether. And I'm excited to play Ukulele and the Impossible Lair next year. They actually made a follow-up game that's more similar to Donkey Kong Country, and I'll admit that I definitely had a scratch to itch this year for the 3D collectathons, but I'm pretty pumped to see what they do with the 2D stuff. I think they're really going to nail it. In preparation for Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield, Nina and I ended up watching a lot of people streaming Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, just doing some shiny hunting to gear themselves up for the new game. And so we thought, you know what the heck, let's do that too. Let's have some fun. Let's boot up our Let's Go files and maybe get some shiny hunting going on, seeing where we were, what's going on. And as I booted up my game, I realized that I'm saved right in front of Victory Road. And I actually never beat the game. So, due to a technicality, this game is on this list this year. I went and beat Let's Go Pikachu pretty much in preparation for Pokemon Sword. I'm mostly putting this here to remind myself to go back and check on this Kanto remake now that Sword and Shield are out. I think a lot of people, myself included, didn't really give this game a fair shot since it wasn't the Generation 8 game that people expected. I enjoyed my time with the game for sure, but I think going back and knowing that it wasn't trying to be anything besides a cute, leisurely stroll through Kanto would allow me to enjoy it even further. The game is beautiful, and having your Pokemon follow you around is such a wonderful feature. I really just don't get why they don't do this in every game. And again, me talking about playing games with different mechanics, it was really cool playing a Kanto game with new mechanics. Things like the physical special split that I keep talking about, and freaking Mega Evolution in a Kanto game, like, that's really fun. These are changes that make the game an entirely different Kanto game. What I'll probably do is get Kyle to play it with me next year, and then we'll both go through and I'll see what he thinks, and that's going to be really fun. The last game I have on my list, the last game I beat in 2019 was, of course, Pokemon Sword. I played a lot of Pokemon. This year, it's just kind of the guy who I am, and I've accepted it, and I've adopted it. It's just who I am, everybody. It's just who I am. But before I talk about the actual game, I want to talk about what is actually possibly my favorite thing about a new Pokemon game, which is the build-up to it. Things like discussing rumors and speculating with friends what the evolution for the starters are going to be, seeing leaks to things and wondering which are real and which are fake, picking sides over which starter Pokemon you're going to get. It's such a crazy ride, and it's something that no other franchise could do because of how huge Pokemon is. My buddy Kyle, who I've mentioned a couple times now, was on the fence about getting a Switch in preparation for Animal Crossing New Horizons. When I told him that there was going to be a new Pokemon game coming out, he became a little bit more intrigued for sure. When I told him that there would be an evolution to his favorite Pokemon, Farfetch'd, he couldn't say no. He was just 100% sold, and he knew it. And that's the kind of stuff that I live for. And really, I guess another big thing about Pokemon, besides talking about the actual game, is that playing these games with friends is unlike anything else. And you only get it every couple of generations. Like, I think the last time I really felt like this was when everybody got X and Y. Like, I don't know exactly what happened, but pretty much the stars aligned where everybody that I knew was getting this game. And for X and Y, it was extra cool because I was in college. Everybody had their 3DSs. Everybody was street passing and everything. It was so cool. And now, seeing everybody with their Switches playing Pokemon, just being super about it, it was so much fun. To finally talk about the game, I freaking love Sword and Shield. It's such a fantastic game. I'm still playing it. Now I'm in the post game and I'm doing a lot of breeding. I've been enjoying shiny hunting this generation. I didn't really do it at all before. If I got a shiny Pokemon, it was cool, but like now I'm breeding for shinies, which for whatever reason really enjoyable, maybe because it's a lot faster this time. I loved the characters. I love Galar. It's huge and beautiful. The wild area is really cool. Like, I think it's a nice step towards what people really want next. And Game Freak's getting there. I think there's a lot of confusion and obviously a lot of controversy around the national decks. And personally, I'm fine with a smaller group of dudes to pick from. It kind of reminds me of Pokemon Coliseum, where you only have this small pool to pick from. So make the best of these guys and make a cool team out of these guys. It makes you be a little bit more creative and more inventive. I think probably my favorite thing about the game is Leon. You're the champion of Galar. I really liked seeing how he changed and how he grows, and just seeing this really freaking cool guy be close to you was really cool. It's just so good. I'm still playing it. Nina's still playing it. Kyle's still playing it. I know so many people that are still so invested in completing their Pokedex and finding shinies and making good teams to battle with. All these new mechanics and items. Freaking Gigantamax, which is the wildest thing that I think Pokemon has done yet. Yeah, it's just the new gimmick for the new game, but it changes a lot of things, and especially how it works in battle. I guess out of everything, I'm most excited to see where this takes Pokemon for their next step, whatever that is going to be. There's been a big outcry for Pokemon to make their next big step, and I think this was a baby step towards that, whatever it is. So I'm excited. It's going to be good, and I'm going to be playing Pokemon Sword for probably the next entire year. That's my list of games that I beat this year. Please tell me some of the games that you beat this year and let me know what you think of them. I had a blast with all these games. I was really lucky in that I didn't play any bad games this year. I think just as I'm getting older, I can pick out which games I know I'll like and which ones I really want to spend my time with. Maybe you'll be seeing me more a little bit in the future. I don't know. With that, thank you for watching. I appreciate you dedicating some time to hang out with me, especially on the dawn of the new year. I might be doing another video about the games I plan to play in 2020. I'm not totally sure. I like talking about games, and I think there's some really cool ones coming out this year specifically. So let's talk about it. Let's see what we got. Oh, and Pikachu gets big in this one.